This video was brought to you by our book. Find out more and find out how you can get an exclusive free pin badge with your purchase at the end of the video. Today is the 5-year anniversary of the Brexit vote, and it's also been about 6 months since the UK left the EU for good. So with a decent amount of time passed, we're going to be taking you through how Brexit's gone so far, going through 3 things that have gone well, or at least better than expected, and 3 things that have gone badly. We're going to start with the good things and then do the bad things. The things that went relatively well are going to be the economy, the GB-EU border, and trade deals. The things that went badly are going to be certain sectors of the economy, the British border, and separatism. As a disclaimer, it's hard, if not impossible, to isolate the Brexit variable. It's been 5 years now, and a lot of other stuff, including the pandemic, has happened since. So while Brexit is at least plausibly the primary reason for all of these things, there will doubtless be other variables at play. The first thing that went relatively well is the economy. In May of 2016, the UK Treasury predicted that there'll be a recession within 2 years of a Brexit vote, with GDP 3 to 6% lower than otherwise. This would be accompanied by a jump in unemployment, a 3% fall in wages, a 10% fall in house prices, and a 12% fall in sterling. Fortunately for the UK, there was no recession, and the only thing the Treasury got right was the impact on sterling. With GDP, you can maybe argue that Brexit caused a slight slowdown, with the UK's growth rate falling below that of other advanced economies, but it stayed broadly within the average of other comparable economies. Employment actually rose in the aftermath of the Brexit vote too, and while real wage growth did slow, mainly thanks to the cost of inflation, it stayed mostly positive and never dropped below 3%, as the Treasury had predicted. Unfortunately for anyone trying to get a mortgage in the UK, the Treasury was also wrong about house prices, which continued to grow at about 5% per year until 2018, and have continued to grow since. Sterling did see a drop against the dollar in the aftermath of the Brexit vote, from about $1.40 to about $1.20, which is, to be fair to the Treasury, a bit more than the 12% they predicted, but it has recovered somewhat since then. Anyway, the point is that Brexit Britain did better than the Treasury's 2016 forecasts. Andrew Haldane, the chief economist at the Bank of England, who was similarly pessimistic about a Brexit vote, actually admitted this in an interview with the Institute for Government. So on to the second thing that went relatively well, border disruption on the GB-EU border. When Boris Johnson started insisting that the UK leaves the customs union and single market, trade aficionados realised that that was going to mean a load more checks on goods going from the EU to Great Britain. You'd need customs checks, SPS checks, and even a new certification system for hauliers. A lot of this trade goes from Dover to Calais via the Eurotunnel. So people started getting worried that this would lead to massive traffic jams going in and out of Dover, and therefore massive delays on deliveries. The government even prepared Operation Brock, which would have basically turned the M20 into one massive backlog car park, and created a new 66-acre lorry park in Ashford. To deal with these new post-Brexit checks, the government promised to upgrade their old customs system, called Chief, with a new streamlined system called GMVS, and design an app to make everything easier for lorry drivers. Despite neither project arriving on time, the border disruption was actually pretty manageable, thanks in large part to the Brexit transition period. But even at the end of the transition period this year, there wasn't much disruption. In part because COVID meant less stuff was travelling in and out of Dover, but also because companies stocked up in anticipation for the post-transition period disruption. As such, there were no queues all the way up the M20, supermarket shelves stayed well stocked, and time-sensitive medicines arrived on time. In fact, the only time the government had to use Operation Brock was when France banned travel into the UK due to COVID concerns. On to the third good thing, which is trade deals. In the run-up to the referendum, Brexiteers loved talking about the bilateral trade deals the UK could get once it was on its own. Now, at the time, this was treated with some scepticism, especially after Obama intervened and suggested that the UK would go to the back of the queue for any trade deal. But to be fair to the government, and specifically Liz Truss, they've been pretty active with their trade deals. The UK has obviously signed a deal with the EU, but they've also signed a total of 63 rollover deals, which essentially just copy and paste the deals the UK had inside the EU, and even improved on a couple of them. The UK has also just signed its first proper new trade deal with Australia, a link to a video explaining that in the description, as well as applying to join the CPTPP and currently negotiating with the US. It's easy to be cynical about the economic value of these trade deals. After all, they have a notoriously small impact on GDP, but they're also of political value, acting as a sort of diplomatic launchpad. Anyway, whatever their merits, the government has at least succeeded in its stated intentions of signing a whole load of post-Brexit trade deals. So those are the good things, but what about the bad ones? Well, the first bad thing is to do with the economy. I know we just said that the economy is doing relatively well, but that doesn't mean that Brexit hasn't hurt some specific industries. Exporters, especially food and drink retailers, have been hit particularly hard. In the first 3 months of 2019, before a Brexit deal had emerged, agri-good exports from the UK to the EU were worth about £3.7 billion. In the first 3 months of 2020, that had fallen to $3.2 billion, and the first 3 months of 2021 to just $1.7 billion. Obviously, that drop is partly due to the pandemic, but the Food and Drink Exporters Association said that it was also a direct result of customs delays and new costs of EU trading. Other industries that have been hit particularly hard include touring musicians, who can no longer easily tour in the EU, as well as hospitality and construction, which are both struggling with labour shortages, with even Brexit advocate and Wetherspoon's boss Tim Martin calling for more EU migration as his chain suddenly struggled to employ enough people after Brexit. Even lawyers are struggling with the new laws, who now can't easily practice in the EU because there's no mutual recognition of standards. The second thing that's gone badly is the Irish border. We've done loads of videos on this before, so we're not going to go into too much detail here. But in 2016, commentators warned that regulatory divergence would require a border either in the Irish Sea or on the island of Ireland. The first one would offend unionists, and the second one would offend nationalists. Despite pretending otherwise, Johnson ended up choosing the Irish Sea, and unsurprisingly, unionists got offended. With unionists getting increasingly angry, the UK government realised that they couldn't commit to any more checks in the Irish Sea, and so unilaterally extended the grace period for certain goods. And we're now stuck with the UK telling the EU to be more flexible, and the EU telling the UK to stick to their word, and all while unionist politics implodes in Northern Ireland. This all gets even scarier when you remember that we haven't even seen the end of grace periods yet. Political instability in Northern Ireland depends on this being sorted out ASAP, and that's not looking likely at the moment. The final thing that's gone badly is separatism. This is linked to the previous point, insofar as Brexit and the Northern Ireland Protocol have made a united Ireland far more likely. But as we've covered in previous videos, Brexit has also made both Scottish and Welsh independence far more popular. As we explained in those other videos, polling suggests that Scottish independence makes support for Welsh independence by about 25%. And today, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland are all toying with independence. And if Scotland were to go, it's possible that this could trigger a separatist domino effect, leaving England all alone. We're not saying that this is likely, but it's many times more likely than it was pre-Brexit. And it's true to say that the Union is weaker than it's ever been in modern history. So those are 3 good and 3 bad things to come out of Brexit thus far. But we're interested in what you think. Do the good parts outweigh the bad? Is Brexit looking like the right decision, or is it too early to tell? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Before we go, I wanted to shout out our book, Brexit the Colouring Book, and our exclusive new bundle. The book runs you through the entirety of the Brexit story, from the referendum to the deal, via 25 drawings and explainers. Even if you're not into colouring, it's a cool memento of the political history we went through together. And if you're interested, we've added a new bundle to the store, whereby you can get the book and an exclusive 10 Downing Street pin absolutely free, with this pin available nowhere else right now. And you can find out more about that and the book by clicking the link in the description. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be notified every time we release a new video. Special thanks to our Patreon backers who make videos like this one possible. And if you want to see your name at the end of videos, then you too can back us on Patreon. The link to that is in the description.